Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaram Munina Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankha Chakrasidharinam Sahasrashirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. Please remain seated with your eyes closed and just take a few 3 breaths, simply allowing your mind to journey with your inhale and your exhale. When you are ready, please open your eyes. Today, our topic is mental well-being. I'm going to begin by reflecting on what we chant every week. The prayer, Yogena Chittasya. It is a prayer to Patanjali, and it begins by saying, yoga is for the mind. Most people feel that yoga is an asana pranayama practice, that we do a practice on the mat for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, and we are set. For many of us, that session is very helpful. It reduces rajas through asana. It reduces tamas through pranayama. So we are in a calmer space. We have a steadier state of mind. But that can change very quickly. If something happens that we are not prepared for or that we are not expecting, and all the time we spent to calm ourselves, to steady ourselves, is upended in a few minutes. And we go back to a space where maybe our heart is tight, our breath is rapid or shortness, there's a clenched feeling. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali are 195 or 194, depending on different commentaries and texts. But about roughly 20 of the sutras relate to asana or pranayama. All the others are about the mind and our mental states. So the Yoga Sutra is really a deep dive into the mind, because what we see of ourselves or of anybody else is just the tip. And as we practice, our ability to see the courage we develop to see, allows us a clearer vision. It allows a purification of the mind. And when we are able to see things in reality, we are able to respond more appropriately and to live more dharmically. So what is dharma? Dharma is to take the right action in the right manner at the right time. That is dharma. There's another thing we call dharma also, which is following rules that allow society to function more smoothly, following traffic rules, paying your taxes. These are more outwardly moving activities. Yoga as dharma is about internal harmony. The purpose of yoga is to journey back to that essential dharma, that rhythm that is the source that everything arises from. And the mind is the instrument for it all. In any situation, when we find ourselves in any situation, we typically tend to act from a certain muscle memory of a memory of what has already occurred, of a remembrance of a last experience and how we acted at that point and the consequences, or an expectation of how we would like things to happen. So we are already in a state of chitta vritti. I am seeing something or myself as I was or as I want to be. But as my mind becomes quieter, I respond less to what was or what I wanted to be. I find myself in the now, responding from that moment alone, responding to what is. Sarah spoke about the 4 stages of the mind. Kshipta, which is a jumpy mind, Mudha, which is a heavy mind, Vikshipta, which is a vacillating mind, and Ekagrata, which is a one-pointed mind, a mind in a state of dharana. Real practice then is to cleanse and recondition the mind and to be in the 5th stage of Chitta Vritti Nirodha, where we are established in our true nature. I may have the potential, I may have the ability, but am I in the right state of mind? Temporary states of yoga, of calm, of acceptance, of equanimity, they remain temporary. They come and something happens and they go. But what sustains us on this path, what helps us to keep moving, is to keep alive in ourselves that which we are journeying towards, which is where Yoga Sadhana comes in. Why is Yoga Sadhana important? Because it helps us have an experience of what we can be, what we truly are. And that experience can become or is the fuel, the focus, the anchor that helps us keep going even in difficult times. That is what enables us to return to our practice, away from suffering and towards that goal. Because then there is shanti, there is peace. We are able to experience being in situations without getting affected. It is not that there is no pain, but we don't suffer because we're not holding on. In today's session, our goal is to help us enable ourselves to listen to ourselves and to hear ourselves, to observe where we are, to observe where we are listening from. Are we truly observing Are we just recognizing what is happening within and unfolding within us without a judgment? Can we acknowledge what is taking place? Today's practice is therefore an invitation to recognize all that is coming up in us. Because only when we can see what there is, can we cleanse and can we recondition ourselves. Please keep a journal and a paper and a pen beside you now in preparation before we begin our practice for today. Shipra will be demonstrating. And before we begin, after we have kept our journal by our side, please let us stand in samasthiti. And after we have aligned our bodies, where our weight is distributed, our body is relaxed, let us take 3 breaths freely, simply allowing our mind to travel with our inhale and our exhale. After taking 3 breaths, for the next 4 breaths, please inhale freely and please chant Om Namaha on the exhale.
Om Namaha. Om Namaha. Om Namaha. Om Namaha.
At this point, please remain standing in samasthiti and simply observe Shipra in completion before we begin the practice. She will be demonstrating and doing each asana in the same breath progression. We are doing the same asanas we've been doing for the last few weeks. Please simply watch her now to understand. The first time will be simply a repeat with Om Namaha being chanted on the exhale. The next time you will stay for 1 breath, and the next 2 times you will stay for 2 breaths each. On every exhale, you will chant Om Namaha. If 2 breaths becomes too much for you or it's not something you're comfortable, please stay with 1 breath or a repeat. Please simply listen to your body. Remember to pause between the inhale and the exhale and keep your movement within the breath. I will talk you through when Shipra does the demo, but once you start your practice, I will not be prompting you, allowing you to journey with yourself, listening to yourself. When you have done 1 asana in completion, which will be 4 repetitions, please come to samasthiti and breathe again. Shipra will now demonstrate how the breath work will be going. She will begin showing you Tadasana. As you inhale, you will lift your arms. As you exhale, you will
Om Namaha.
the next time.
Om Namaha. Om Namaha.
The next 2 times, she will stay for 2 breaths in the posture. chanting Om Namaha on each exhale.
Om Nam.
I'm sorry. I think we lost her. I'm sure she'll be back. Just give her she's there. Shipra, could you do the last 2 repetitions with a stay for 2 breaths, chanting Om Namaha on the exhale?
Om Namaha. Om Namaha. Om Namaha.
Shipra will remain pinned. She will be doing the practice alongside. Please feel free to refer to her if you need to. Please begin your practice of Tadasana now. When you are done with Tadasana, please take 2 or 3 breaths in Samasthiti before moving on to Virabhadrasana, which you will do 4 repetitions on each side. Again, you will do a repeat, a stay for 1 breath and a stay for 2 breaths on the left and then on the right, or whichever side you begin with. I will not be speaking through this. You will guide yourself. Please observe your body. Please listen to your body. When you are finished, please come back and stand in Samasthiti and take a couple of breaths again. Before you begin the third of our asanas for this morning practice, which is an Uttanasana, you will do the same breathing sequence, a repeat, a stay for 1 breath and a stay for 2 breaths. And please bend forward to whatever allows you to get the maximum result for your body, whether it is the floor, your ankles, your knees, a table, whatever. Please remember to chant Om Namaha on every exhale. When you are all done, please sit down, close your eyes, and please breathe freely. Inhale and exhale, listening to yourself. Listening to your body and what has come up within you. And when you are ready, please journal and please share in the chat whatever you feel like sharing with all of us. When you have finished journaling, please share on the chat so that we can all read and understand where each one of us is at this moment, at the end of this practice. Laura says she is much more concentrated with the chanting and finds the vibrations of her own voice very relaxing. Mark says she feels the peace and bliss of surrender with the sacred offering of Om Namaha with every exhalation. Kamna writes, she's filled with peace and light. Kapil says, feeling peaceful and relaxed. Jennifer says she has focus on what she's doing. Helen says this has taken her to a deeper place of awareness internally. She feels a warmth around her heart space. Selva Kumar says his total system got relaxed. Jennifer also has a heightened sense of silence and awareness. Dhanashri feels connected with her body and her mind. I now invite Lekha to come and to share some perspectives.
Thank you, Gauri. That was a beautiful practice. So when we do our practice and we asked you to tune in, what is it that we actually listen when you tune in? So when I was doing the practice, as Gauri guided us, I heard my breath. As I inhaled, I was able to listen to the inhale. As I exhaled, I was able to listen to the chant. And like I think Jennifer shared, I could actually feel the vibration. And the vibration was not just in the throat. As I continued the practice, I felt the vibration move to the heart space and to much deeper spaces. And the more I tuned in, the more I also listened to other things. Like, for example, some of these postures are postures that I do every day. And automatically there is this comparison. So I heard myself say, oh, you were able to bend further yesterday. Yeah. I was also able to listen to, other voices. Like, for example, I didn't always feel calm and quiet. Like when I was doing the Virabhadrasana, for example, I felt a certain surge of energy, a certain surge of courage. When I was in Tadasana, I felt a certain sense of being grounded, of being anchored. When I did the Uttanasana, I also felt a certain sense of surrender, felt that this is the best I can do, and I'm willing to let go. So when we start really doing the practice, tuning inwards, we listen to a lot more than what we would normally expect. For example, many days when I do my practice, if there is something that is unresolved within me, it comes up. Perhaps I had a conversation that was disturbing, or perhaps I ate something that didn't quite agree with me. I always know it in the practice. Because the breath is then not very deep, or there is some disturbance in the mind, there is some tightness in the body. So you actually, when you start tuning inwards more and more, you can see the residue of your previous actions, words, thoughts in your practice. And the practice then becomes like a beautiful mirror. It truly shows you where you are, right? So the invitation today is to see if we can tune inwards, to start perceiving these layers. When you study yoga, you're always told that your perception is essentially a complex interplay of your mind, your manas, and your senses, both the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas. Together, they help us perceive the world. But then, ideally, the mind then is like a mirror. It reflects whatever it is that is the object of perception. But then, our mind is not a passive receiver of this sensory information that we get. However, rather, it is more of an active agent. So our mind not just reflects, but it interprets, it categorizes, it starts making meaning out of all the information that it is receiving. And this process of perception is colored. It is colored by our past experiences. It is colored by our expectations of what must be. It is colored by our conditioning. When you really start observing this process of meaning making, this process of how we perceive, you will start seeing all the 5 kleshas in action. You will start seeing raga, our attachment to what gives us sukham. Dvesha, we start seeing how we want to avoid anything that will cause us pain, and how that impacts our perception. For example, if it is our past experience that a conversation with a particular person ends up on a bitter note, the next time we see the person, a kilometer away, we turn. We would rather take another path than to encounter them. We start seeing how asmita, our sense of self, starts impacting our perception. Sometimes our identity as a teacher, or as a mother, or as an professional, counselor. Like, I have this friend who is a very, very wonderful counselor. But sometimes, when you have a conversation with her as a friend, it immediately goes into a coaching conversation, if, within 5-6 minutes. So the asmita of being a counselor starts invading into what is a space of friendship. And each of these kleshas then impact the way we respond. And sometimes our response is not appropriate. For example, if you were a CEO of an organization, you're a leader, everybody looks up to you. Then you come home and then you take the same asmita and you respond to your family through the same lens. Imagine what would happen. Right? So yoga is all about perceiving reality as is, understanding what is our role in that reality, and to respond appropriately to that. And what helps us do this is the energy of mindfulness. The more mindful I am of where I am, of who I am in that space, and what is it that I am really seeing outside of me and what is happening within me. The more I'm able to see all this clearly, the more likelihood that I'm going to respond to whatever it is in front of me appropriately. I'm going to respond in a way that increases the sense of harmony within me and outside of me. So that is the promise of yoga, right? And today, that is what we are going to look and see if we can watch. We are wanting to watch, how do I perceive? What is this process of perception? How does that operate within me? Can I watch it? Because if I'm able to watch it, if I'm able to understand it, then I can cleanse, then I can respond appropriately. So everything is dependent on my ability to listen to myself and listen to the other, my ability to observe myself and observe the other as is in this moment. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to do a small little game. Okay. A large part of our perception is our eyes, is vision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some images. Okay. But remember, our goal is to actually see whether we can catch our process of perception as we do this exercise. Okay, so the image is simply a trigger. It's just a stimuli to get our senses going. Okay, but what it essentially is a meditative practice to see, can I tune in and really understand how I look at the world? So here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to ask you to first sit down, close your eyes, really breathe, cleanse your mind, let go of all thoughts, perceptions, anything that you might be holding. Really empty your mind. And then I'm going to flash an image onto the screen. And I will let you watch that image for 45 seconds. I want you to watch with your entire being. And then the image will disappear from the screen. I would like you to then recognize what this image has evoked in you. Now, this image might evoke multiple things in you. It might evoke a thought, like your mind will say, this is what it is. So if I show you an image of a mountain, your mind will categorize it and say mountain. Okay. But then it will also trigger perhaps a memory. Perhaps you went for a hike. And then it may also trigger a feeling. I want you to see if you can pick up all the layers of perception and keep your notebook next to you, journal it, document it for yourself. And then I will ask you to take another 5 breaths mindfully. Let go of the image, let go of the memory, let go of the feelings that came up, everything. Cleanse once more, empty your mind, and then look at the next image. So we're going to look at a series of images, and we're going to do this process again and again and again. The first couple of times I will guide you But after that, I'm going to let my voice fade away so that you are able to only listen to yourself. If you have any questions about the process, I'm happy to take them and before we start the activity. Okay, so I don't think there are any questions. Okay, so sit with your back erect, close your eyes, relax your body, and start bringing your awareness to your breath. Just be aware as you inhale that you're breathing in, and be aware that as you are exhaling, you're breathing out. So just be aware of the breath. Using the breath as your guide, as your anchor, empty your mind of any thoughts, anything that you're holding on to. We are going to now flash the first image. Please open your eyes and take a look at this image. Now close your eyes, tune in to what is evoked within you. Thoughts, feelings, memories. See if you're able to recognize. And once you are able to recognize, please journal whatever was evoked. Once you have journaled, again, put your journal away. Go back to your breath. And use your breath to completely cleanse yourself. Let go of that image. Let go of the thoughts, the feelings, the memories that particular image created on your mind. Prepare your mind to receive the next image. You can open your eyes. Recognize what was evoked and journal. Once you're done, put the journal away, close your eyes, go back to your breath. Using the breath to empty the mind of all residues. Preparing the mind for the next image. Open your eyes when you're ready. Journal. If you're done, go back to your breath. Ready to receive the next image. journal, once you're done journaling, go back to your breath. Once you're done journaling, put the journal away, sit comfortably with your back erect, consciously relax your shoulders. Bring your attention to the heart space. With every inhale, invite fresh prana into the heart space. And with every exhale, observe as this prana flows into every part of your body, every cell in your body. Now gently rub your palms together. Feel the warmth and place the palms over your eyes, cupping your eyes. Just feel the warmth through your eyelids. Open your eyes within your cupped palms and then place the palms on the lap. Thank you, Vishnu. So now the question that I have for you is, as you went through this exercise, what did you understand about your process of perception? What insights did you gain about how you see the world and how you process what you see? If you can share it on the chat, that will really help.
Can you read those questions out again, please?
Question is, as you went through this exercise and you journaled, what did you understand about your own process of perception? How do you perceive the world? How do you see the world? What did you understand about yourself as you went through this exercise? I encourage as many people to share as possible, because Yoga Sadhana is a space where we learn from each other as much as we learn from our teachers. Everybody in this space is a teacher. So sometimes it's very important to show ourselves in the space of sadhana. Thank you for sharing. I would like to invite you to stay with this, to actually take a look at what you have journaled over the next couple of days and see what else you can learn about yourself and how you perceive the world from this exercise. So essentially what we are doing is we are bringing the energy of mindfulness to what is happening within us, to recognize what is happening within us. And that is always the first step. As we recognize what is happening within ourselves, and if we are able to use the energy of mindfulness to stay with it, to inquire deeply into it, ask ourselves, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling the way I am feeling? Why am I seeing or perceiving the way I am perceiving? The more longer we are able to hold this inquiry, the more insights we get about our inner processes. And the more insights we get about our inner processes, greater the clarity about what is an appropriate action in this context. And an appropriate action then creates greater harmony within and around, enabling the mind to be in a certain state of quietness, which means the next time I perceived my reality, it is a little more closer to what it is. It is little less colored by my fears, by my expectations, by my past experiences. And this process of cleansing, of purifying, is what yoga is all about. And all that we do, whether it is asana, whether it is pranayama, whether it is meditative practices, whether it is bringing mindfulness into the way we eat or sleep or the way we live our lives, the way we communicate, all of that, journaling, everything is to serve this process of being able to bring mindfulness to the ability to recognize what is evoked within us, to be able to stay with whatever is evoked within us, no matter how unpleasant it is. In fact, one of the things that Thich Nhat Hanh teaches is, can I look at my emotions, my feelings, as a mother would look at her child? Even if the child is angry, even if the child is crying, even if the child is throwing a tantrum, a mother might tenderly pick up the child, hold her in her arms, love unconditionally, accept the child as is. And just this act of picking up the child and holding the child in her arms lovingly starts to soothe the child. So Thich Nhat Hanh says, can I look at my emotions like that? Whether it is fear, whether it is anger, whether it is sadness, can I look at my emotions that way? Can I hold my emotions that way? So that I may understand where they arise from, that I may understand myself better and I may understand the context better. And therefore, my actions are more appropriate. So the invitation is to see if I can go back to my journal again and again and see what is it that I can understand about how I view the world and how is that acting out in my everyday life. Now, I would like to invite Gauri to come back and teach us another practice. The invitation with this practice is, can you stay with the practice? Can you stay with your own truth as you go through the practice? Can you tune even more inward and observe yourself from a space of non-judgment, of love, of acceptance? Can you watch yourself like a mother would watch her child with tenderly. So with that invitation, Gauri, over to you.
Thank you, Lekha. Our second practice today is, in a sense, a very simple practice. Shipra will be pinned, and she will first demonstrate what we will do in this practice. It is a lying practice, so you can lay down on your mat or on a bed. Please observe her first before you begin. I will tell you when you can start the practice. You will lay down in Samasthiti, relaxed with your body balanced, arms by the sides of your body. As you inhale, you will raise your arms overhead to lay flat on the floor behind you, and your toes will be pointed. As you exhale, you will draw your knees to your abdomen. Your elbows, your arms will hold your knees, and you will be chanting Om Namo Namaha. As you inhale, you will straighten your legs to point up. Your arms will support your knees from behind. As you exhale, you will bring your knees back to your chest, chanting
Om Namo Namaha.
You will repeat this 4 times. Shipra will end with this, but you will repeat these last 2 postures 4 times. Chanting
Om Namo Namaha.
You will chant Om Namo Namaha on each exhale. This is all the practice is going to be. But please try and stay with your breath. Inhale freely, chant slowly, remembering to pause between inhale and exhale, and keeping your movement within the breath. Please begin now. 4 repetitions in the last 2 postures. Inhale, arms behind you, feet, toes pointed. Exhale, chanting Om Namo Namaha, bringing your knees towards your abdomen. Just hold your knees behind, hold your feet, your legs behind your knees. As you inhale, straighten your feet up. Straighten your feet to point upward, holding your knees behind. As you exhale, bring your knees towards your chest again, chanting Om Namo Namaha. Please repeat this 3 more times. On the last inhale, please straighten your feet out. And exhale, chanting Om Namo Namaha. Your arms are by your sides, your back in Samasthiti. Breathing and paying attention to every part of your body. Do a scan, do a check, see how you feel. When you are ready, please sit up on your mat or your chair, wherever you are comfortable. And please take 6 breaths, inhaling freely exhaling, chanting Om Namo Namaha. Softly, keeping your focus through your breaths on your heart. When you are finished with your 6 breaths, please take a few breaths, inhaling and exhaling freely, allowing yourself to come back and joining us for our question and answer session. Please feel free to write in the chat any observations, any questions, anything that you want to share to this community that we are here today, this sangha.
Hello Gauri, hello Lekha.
Hello, Nisha.
How are you both?
Doing well. Thank you.
Nice to see you both. Okay, so I'll go with my question. We talked about how through the yoga practice, the mind has to become clearer and quieter and reflect reality better with less of our chittavritti coming in the way. So I think it's a slow process, which I think in different situations we're able to see that better. Maybe see the difference between reality and our chittavritti. But since it's a slow process where I think at sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen, and we are still in the journey. How do we differentiate between uh, our perception and our chittavritti? Like in a situation, I may think that I'm seeing this as the reality that it is, but how do I know that it's not still my chittavritti and it is still it is somewhere closer to reality? How will I start knowing that for sure?